So in 2023, the North American Menopause Society, which is now called the Menopause Society, which is a nonprofit organization leading the charge for women's health, but they came out with a position statement about non-hormone therapy. Now, I'd like to clarify some things here, okay? If you didn't read this particular article and you want to make assumptions based on the title, you're gonna be dead wrong. You see, the non-hormone therapy position is actually very specifically being applied to vasomotor symptoms. So perimenopause and menopause is a multifactorial, complex thing. And when you boil it all down, yes, ovarian insufficiency is kind of like the overall glaring theme that as your hormones change, all these other systemic things happen. And so they want to share with you, after all the research that they've poured into, what are the non-hormonal, meaning not HRT, things that you could do to make your vasomotor symptoms improved. And it's going to be not what you want or think. So the committee looked at all these different articles, and the way they put them into categories are 3 levels. Level 1 is good and consistent scientific evidence, like top notch. Level 2, limited or inconsistent scientific evidence. Level 3, consensus and expert opinion. Now, keep in mind, this is for vasomotor, and also keep in mind women's health is ridiculously far behind. So sometimes we don't have very good research because we just don't even have research. But here we go. So this table sums up the entire 18-page article that talks about the different treatment recommendations. And in the lifestyle modifications for reducing vasomotor symptoms, aka hot flashes, they looked at all the research for cooling techniques, avoiding triggers, exercise, yoga, and dietary modifications. And they basically said it really doesn't matter because the research wasn't very conclusive and didn't prove a lot of things. But weight loss was a level 2, 3, and they would recommend that as a non-hormone therapy treatment for vasomotor symptoms. Do not come for me. I am reading the table. I'm not saying those other things don't work. I have an explanation. Wait for it. In mind-body techniques to control vasomotor, they have recommended that cognitive behavioral therapy and clinical hypnosis are top tier, chef's kiss, apparently delightful. That comes up over and over and over again, because if you can control your level of agitation, then your body doesn't explode with hot rage, literally and figuratively, because your thermoregulation is really like not so glorious as your hormones shift. So mindfulness, paced respirations, and relaxation didn't make the cut for the recommendations. Prescription therapies, SSRIs and gabapentin, oxybutynin, and phencylalanine. Listen, I don't even know how to say that word. I don't even recommend that. I don't even talk about that, but that's not what I do. Anyway, the point is prescription therapies, the SSRIs and gabapentin, do help with vasomotor. If you have seen any of my posts before, there is actually strong research for SSRIs. SSRIs matter for women. They're perimenopausal and postmenopausal and menopausal because estrogen is neuroprotective. And if you don't want to take HRT and you're feeling sad and you're feeling blue and you're having vasomotors, the SSRIs come up consistently, ladies, in the research. It just does. This is what I think is going to get really people bent out of shape, but the dietary supplements, they don't recommend anything to be helpful. Cannabinoids are limited research. Supplements, herbs, like all the things you guys ask about is like not recommended because they couldn't come up with good enough research to prove it. And actually, yes, that's the way the research shows it. It doesn't mean it's not helping you, but according to research that we have, it doesn't make a difference with your vasomotor symptoms. I want you to remember that this article is non-hormone therapy treatment for vasomotor, according to the research we have, and I'm just reading it to you. Finally, we get to acupuncture and other therapies, and it doesn't recommend anything other than a ganglion block, which that's not very vogue in the pop culture of the perimenopause menopause world. But at the end of the day, when you get to the end of the article and you get to the conclusion, vasomotor symptoms are common in midlife women and remain undertreated. Yes, these symptoms can disrupt a woman's overall quality of life and last a mean duration of 7 to 9 years, longer in some women. Hormone therapy remains the first line of treatment to get rid of vasomotor symptoms and hot flashes in healthy women at or around the time of menopause. However, it is important to recognize that not all women are candidates for hormone therapy. So that's why this article is presenting the options because of contraindications of personal preference and things of that nature. This position statement supports the use and recommends cognitive behavioral therapy, clinical hypnosis, SSRIs, SNRIs, gabapentin, weight loss. Okay? But here's the kicker. Vasomotor symptoms are not the first symptoms that a woman feels in perimenopause. That is late perimenopause, okay? So all the other things that are in here could be helpful for many different facets of perimenopause treatment. Now, we know that nutrition matters. We know that sleep matters, hydration, movement, all these things. But I hope you take away that the gold standard treatment for vasomotor symptoms is hormone therapy, because perimenopause, menopause is an ovarian insufficiency and it is a hormone deficiency. And the number one way you treat the hormone deficiency is with freaking hormones. And if it doesn't work for you, and if you are just scared because of what you have heard in the past, get into the research, talk to the experts. A majority of women believe information that is dated and bad research. Now listen, if you looked at this paper by the title and you didn't read it, you would think that they were throwing everything out. But no, they're specifically addressing vasomotor symptoms. Now, if you're going to read between the lines, cardiac is really important for women. Cardiovascular disease is the number one killer of women. Them coming out talking about vasomotor and what you can do to help with women is really kind of life-saving. I'm not even kidding or exaggerating. Talking about hormone replacement therapy to protect women's hearts, because estrogen is protective, is huge. So them not including some other things because the other things maybe didn't affect vasomotor don't mean they're not important, but education needs to be had for all of us about perimenopause and menopause. And there are things that you can read. You are going to have to be invested and go all in. And I know you're tired and I know you don't have time for this because you have the brain fog. So you can follow people like Dr. Marie Claire Haver. You can follow Heather Hirsch. You can follow my ally. You can follow me. You can follow along and learn, and we can be part of your community to help you understand. Hit the plus sign and follow for more women's health and education tips. Bye.